Alright, so hi guys. We are starting off my convention artist alley art business series right now for the upcoming summer, but I'm also doing this right now as a quick little just update before we go into the details of this video. First of all, hi, summer's happening, and my mic is kind of going through that phase of the Blue Yeti mic where it might be time to replace it, but I currently have other things I need to worry about, so hopefully I don't sound like I'm underwater like I did last time. I tried fixing it, hopefully it's fixed. Another thing is, in a lot of my upcoming videos, you might hear my air conditioning or my fan going on because we are finally hitting summer where I live, and I live in California where the heat can get up to 120 degrees. So, yeah, I'm not gonna put my pets in danger because I live in a one-room apartment. Um, just so I can make some YouTube videos. So I'm just giving that heads up because I know some people care about the audio. And also to be informing you that this is going to be a video where I am giving basic tips. There are so many videos out there that go into much better detail with the things here because I just want to give some basics. If you want a really detailed tutorial about like Shopify, running your own website, using Etsy, using Store Envy, using all of them, please go look up those videos. That's not going to be it here. I am very much got my paper ASMR here. It's a very bare bones basic, just so that way people can get a basic understanding of what's going on and why it's important. And before we get into the questions of, but Michelle, why are you doing this when you said you're going to be doing a convention like artist alley talking series for the upcoming month? Well, the reason for that is because when the con's done, you need a place to sell your merch, right? And unless you live in a really bumpin' area where there's cons going every weekend, we are still currently in Six Spiky Round Boy. Things are just starting to open up. And even then, there are places where they don't have conventions all the time. Again, I live in California. We have a lot of different types of conventions and art shows you can do all the time. I know places like Texas do the same. I know places like Washington do the same. I also live in the US, so I'm also going to be giving a heads up. I will not be giving any tax advice here. I am not a tax person or an accountant. So if you're wondering, like, oh, what about taxes? What about this and that? I'm not going to be talking about that in this video. Again, please look up those other really in-depth videos here. But yeah, let's get started. So when you are starting to work at a convention, you need dun da 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 merch, merch of some kind, whether it be prints, stickers, charms, the works. You know, you'll see anything at an artist alley for the most part, or a craft show. You name it, it's there for the most part. And so the reason why you really need to have a online store is because most people can't go to your convention, and it's a great way for networking. It's a great way for people to come back to you and you to sell your leftover merch. Let's say you are a small convention artist, which is what I consider myself. I have only done about 5 shows and one craft show at the time of making this. And so because of that, I am still in the convention circuit. I am still a boppy. I'm still a baby. There are people who used to do, 30 or 40 conventions a year before everything happened with Six Spiky Round Boy, or craft shows or things like that. So what I have learned, especially with people like me, I can't exactly afford to travel for conventions right now. I don't currently make enough to warrant hotel food booking fees. Those all I'll be talking about in another video. So right now, unless I am also going to visit friends, because I did fly for San Japan 2 years in a row, and I do hope to be going back. I won't be going back this year, but I'll probably be going back next year if I can get a table. But and that's also because I get to like visit and see my friends while I'm out there, so it's like a vacation thing for me as well. I can eat the price for that. But anyway, yeah, you need a way for people to come back to your online store or to share to it. And if you don't want to run an online store, then I hope you enjoy sitting on your merch because I, after my first con, had so much leftover merch because I overestimated and I like instantly made an online store. And so another thing that's really important to note, which is also important here and gives some people incentive, is whatever prices you go for, you do need to. I will talk about this more at the end of the video. It's on my last notes. But the one rule of thumb you need to do is you need to look around at what other people are offering for prices because you obviously want to make a profit and you don't want to oversell yourself, but you need to make sure that you are still being fair. And the basic rule of thumb, the quickness of it is, would you pay for said thing? If your answer is no, you need to lower your prices. But the reason why I bring this up is because on your online store, it actually should cost a little bit more. I always knock anywhere between $2 to $3 off my prices, unless there's something cheap like my stickers that are I can again make at home. Um, I knock the prices down so that way it's easier because, well, I'm not taking the time and energy to organize, pack, set, order, worry about this and that, and then give it to the person. I can just hand it to a person. So that's another good rule of thumb is, often if you do a con, have it be cheaper than when you do it because the supply and the extra time to put it into packing is just gone. So that's another good thing to have here. I currently, before anybody asks, I currently use Etsy. It's in my Linktree link down below. I used to use a website called Ticktail. I love Ticktail, but then I got bought out by Shopify. I know Shopify is great, but I currently do not make enough money at this time, which is another thing I'll be going into another part in the paper ASMR here. Where I don't currently make enough off my online store to warrant Shopify. And that's also a really important thing. So people who do pay for Shopify, great, good for you. I'm happy. There are tons of people who use it. And if you have a big enough business to where you're getting enough sales to warrant it, then that's also great. So, it's mostly for like you're kind of starting out or you're like really low on the rung. And so the next thing that's really, really, really important is you need to not worry about cute shipping supplies when you start out. Okay. I, like many people here, I'm sure, I'm obsessed with like pack with me TikToks. I don't know what it is. I love the aesthetics. I love the music. I love watching people make orders. I love making them. I think it's great. But when you are starting out, that is a lot of extra money overhead that you're most likely not going to see back. You need to remember that in most cases, you are still paying for shipping, supplies, and product. When you are starting out, the most important thing you need to do is you need to work on your product first. Because think of it this way, realistically, I bullet journal. I keep a lot of stupid stuff that most people would just throw away. That stuff's going in the trash. 99% of people do not keep the cute aesthetic supplies. They end up usually throwing it away. So that's something you need to factor into your prices. And everyone wants to start off with the cute aesthetics and the, making everything branded and making it all that, this and that. And if you can afford that, if you put the money aside for that, that's great to start out. But most people are not going to care. And by that, I mean, again, it's going in the trash. Obviously, people are going to care. More people do want cute aesthetic packaging and things like that. But that's extra money that you now need to plan for if you're not making a lot of money on your online store. I remember when I when I first opened my online store back when I was on Ticktail, after my first convention, I believe, I made the most I had made off of my Ticktail / Etsy in that time period was a total of $200 for over a year worth of stuff. And one of them was a big like, blowout sale. I want to get rid of extra merch. So keep that in mind. That might sound like a lot of money in like one payment sum, but it wasn't one payment sum. It was $200 in the course of a year, maybe year and a half. And so because of that, I did all this stuff. I put all the money. I bought a big box of like aesthetic black bubble mailers to mail stuff out in. I bought like all these stickers. I bought all this washi tape. And it didn't make its money back. Right now, I do aesthetic things with my shipping, but it's really not that big and out there, mostly because I have a printer now. I got some very cheap basic label paper that I don't use for my stickers, and I started printing some stuff on there, in black ink, so it's cheaper. Slap that on there. Still have the washi tape left over, still use that. And when I wrap up things, I wrap them up in tracing paper that I already just had around in my office, in my work area. Because someday would I like to do more with my shipping and aesthetics and cuteness? Yes, I would. But right now, my shop doesn't make enough to warrant it. And I also know, as a person who likes buying from online shops, the aesthetic stuff is cute, it's nice, but yeah, if it's not useful. And so a lot of people freak out because they're like, oh no, I don't have this, I don't have that. No, 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 no. It's fine. You're starting out. I remember when I first opened my online store and I was so happy to get $25. I was so happy with that. And it's such a big deal because especially when you're starting out and you're not making a lot of money, any money's fun. You'd want to, you want to just have some fun with it. And so, on to that next part though, this is also a part of that you don't have to worry about is if you are a small person, okay, I currently use Etsy and I do not get the labels printed through Etsy because Etsy takes a fee out of that. What I do is I like doing freebies. I'll be talking about that again later. I know I'm jumping around here, but so usually it's a little bit more than like the shipping should be, but it's still less than if I just printed the label right off of Etsy. And so because of that, literally when I get an order, like a charm order, I end up going to my post office and just doing it there. It's really not that big of a difference. It's not that bad. And I used to do it all the time. And other than that, when I'm shipping off my stickers, I just bought a bunch of mailing supplies for cheap in bulk. I bought a bunch of stamps when they had sales, and I did this and that. And because of that, I ended up actually saving money than doing it the other way around. Now, there are many websites out there like stamps.com, this and that, Again, if you are a bigger person, if you are like a Bailey J, if you are like a Commune Hagure on Instagram, or if you are on like a Drawing with Waffles, things like that, where they have really, really, really big followings. So when they do merch drop, or Casey Golden, when they do really, really, really big merch drops, it makes sense to go through those websites and do that stuff because it does save them money. And they're going to be packaging anywhere between hundreds of thousands of orders per shop drop. It's very different when it's hundreds of thousands and like maybe five. Realistically, in my online store, at the time I'm recording this, I make maybe 20 sales a month in my shop. And usually they're for smaller things that I don't have to worry about going to the post office for. You don't have to freak out about it. Just go to the post office. They usually don't care if you print out, if you have the proper return address and following address, and just do it. Just do it that way. It's easier. It's not as stressful, and you don't have to worry about it as much. And so that's a big word of advice I always have because people are always like, oh, go to this, go to that, da, 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 da. And you're right if you're making lots of orders. But if you're not, it's kind of just a waste of time, money, and extra supplies. And so it's the same thing why, like, I know a lot of people who are like, when are you going to get a Dynamo printer? And I'm like, when I make enough sales to warrant buying one. Like I said, right now, I'm doing just fine with my store and how things are the way it's going currently. And so the next thing we're going to go into, and this is a big one on my paper SMR list, I got even like little bullet points and key things here, is we're going to talk about the return address. So hi, I live in America, and so I also live in California. And there are lots of people who are worried because you need to put a return address on there. And obviously, first of all, you don't have to put a return address on there. The point of a return address is if there's an issue with the package, or if there's not the right amount of stamps, or there's an issue, it gets returned back to you so you can mail it out again. Oh, who would have thought? But you don't technically need to have a return address. But if there is an issue, that is now lost in the ether. And sadly, you as the supplier, especially when you're starting out, you kind of have to send out another thing or offer a refund. Because when you're starting out, you can't really afford a lot of bad press at that time. You got to kind of bite the bullet. It's the hard part of when you're starting a store. And so with that, though, a lot of people are like, oh my God, I don't have a P.O. box. Oh my God, I don't have this. And then you have other people who are like, ugh, you don't have a P.O. box? They're so cheap where I live. That's cool. That's where you live. I found out that, at least in my state, and I've heard from other people, that it varies from city to city how expensive a P.O. box is. And there are people who live in food deserts. And what is a food desert? That's pretty much where they live in, like, the suburbs. So they don't really live in a post office that is close by unless you are lucky enough to have a car. And so because of that, there's a lot of people who can't go to their P.O. box very often to check up on it. I live in a city, and I found out that a post office near me actually has pretty affordable post offices. But I put it into my budget, and currently right now, I can't really afford it. So yes, technically my address is on my return address. Now, with that being said, people must be like, oh my God, Michelle, what are you doing using your real address? That must be terrifying. So that's what we're going to go to the next part. It's actually not doxing because you're not publicly saying your address. It's a return address. If they post it online, then they have doxed you. Me saying that, yeah, I kind of have to use my return address right now is, yeah, giving away where I currently live, but that is not an invitation to come to my house, to do things here, mail me stuff. It is a simple legal way of me just getting the paperwork back or the supplies back that have been lost. And before people think I'm nuts, tons of artists do it. There are so many artists I know that are big artists that, again, they're in similar situations to mine, or they are not near enough to a post office, or it's extremely expensive. There have been some places, like where I used to live, to get a simple P.O. box where I used to live was going to be $350 a year. A year! Now, remember what I said earlier about how in like a year and a half I made $250 or about $200 off of a year and a half worth of supplies? That wouldn't have even afforded the P.O. box. So that's like another thing you need to factor into your price point. And so for the younger people out there, things like that, especially if you are younger, ask parental supervision. If you are not comfortable, if you are still worried and scared about not giving your address, find someone you can confide in, someone you trust, use their return address, let them know what's going on. And then obviously when you do make enough to warrant getting a P.O. box, yes, I totally recommend having one because it is safer and it is easier to do, at least in, again, the US because it's where I live. And so I am not saying just give people your address because you're not. I'm saying there are plenty of artists who have to use their real addresses for these issues. It's not doxing. It's not giving you permission to use the address. It's just a way of doing business. And so that is something you need to keep in mind and other people need to keep in mind because I've seen people on TikTok talking about it as well. I might be mentioning why I'm talking about TikTok a lot. I'm kind of obsessed with TikTok. And I also have a TikTok. I'm not as good at it as other people, but because of that, there are a lot of people who have been coming out and being like, hey, lots of artists use their real addresses. Please don't, if you like, if they have cute aesthetic packaging, just put a little piece of tape over the address or, you know, or mark it something so that way the artist stays safe and you stay safe. And that's just a thing you need to worry about that. And so it's not doxing. If you are that worried, again, talk to somebody you can trust to use their return address. And if you are that nervous, you can't afford a P.O. box, you can't find someone you can trust, you're going to have to take the gamble and just not have a return address. And that is a big gamble because stuff gets lost in the mail all the time. I've had stuff lost in the mail. A friend of mine has had merch lost in the mail. It sucks, but it does happen. So that's why those exist. That's what's going on. And obviously, if you are a younger person or you live with other people, ask their permission if you can use it or find someone that you can trust. So that's the advice I have on that. Feel free to debate with me in the comments if you don't agree. But from what I've seen, it's something else I see people worry about because they're like, well, I have money for merch, I have this and that, no, but I can't afford a P.O. box, so I can't do it yet. And it's like, okay, well then just use your address because other people have. That is not giving the internet permission to come to your house. That's not giving the internet permission to use your address for anything creepy or weird. But if you feel unsafe and you're still nervous about it, find someone you can trust, talk to a family member, friend, yada yada. Safety is always first. And so now we are going to go into the next topic here, and that is freebies and business cards. So you need some sort of business card, and you also need to factor in that's just a price you're not going to get back. I currently use, oh my god, what's the word? Vistaprint. It's been a while since I ordered business cards. I've used Vistaprint. I know there are other websites that have really nice business cards. I know people talk about Moo all the time and stuff like that, but Moo cards are pretty expensive. I use Vistaprint because I think it's something like 100 cards for $25 or something along those lines. And these are something you're just giving away. You don't factor into price. Take this as a thing you're just biting the bullet on. If you are running a business, you can use this a tax write-off. I just know that one for a fact. And so because of that, you need some kind of business card. That being said, it does need to be a super fancy schmancy business card. You can simply have a single-sided little business card that has some artwork on it and your social so people can follow you and pass it around and give it to other people you know. Trust me, they're really important. They're great. They're also good to have on you in case people want to talk to you and they want to find you. It's easier just to give them a business card. And freebies. What are freebies? Kind of in the word. You need to have some kind of freebie thing, just a little surprise. It doesn't have to be big, it doesn't have to be small. It could be a simple thank you note. It could be an like an extra sticker. It could be something as small as like a little bit of candy I've seen people get, or sometimes when I get like a charm order or a bigger order, I will sometimes like put up some tea because I'm a very big tea person. Or if I have like a little bit of candy that I know won't get like messed up in the mail, I'll like wrap that up and I'll put that in there too as a little surprise because it's a nice little treat. I know I like getting freebies when I order stuff, and I know other people do too. Again, though, it does go back around to you don't need it. I would recommend you need a business card just because it's kind of a staple in mailing things off in some way, shape, or form. It's an easier way to network and show people your stuff. Um, but besides that, you don't technically need freebies. But again, this is something that you're going to have to factor in to you're not getting price point back. Or do something where you have it at like an extreme discount that it's borderline free. What I used to do before I had a printer was I went to Sticker App or Sticker Mule, I don't remember which one, but they had like an amazing deal where it was something like 200 stickers that were like either a 1x1 or a 2x2 inch sticker for like $20. Bought it and threw those in as freebies. I did not factor that in the price. I'm like, that's I can slap that on shipping. I can slap that in a freebie, and boom, 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 people got an extra little goodie. And so that's something to also keep in mind. But again, if you are on such a tight budget that you can't give up even the smallest little next thing, do a little thank you card, a little personal note, do a little this and that. And if you really can't or you can't bring yourself to care to, then you don't have to. It's just a nice little touch. Now, the last part. I will be talking about this in bigger detail when I'm doing more of the con series, but this is just a very good rule of thumb when starting an online shop. Now we're going to talk about profit margins. Ooh, we're talking about money. So, you want to shoot for, and this is low, but this is the bare minimum. You want to shoot for at least 3 times the profit to get an item made. So that means that you want to get 3 times the price of it made at a bare minimum. Most things you'll find out as you do more research into it. Most stuff is very cheap to manufacture and to get made. Most of the profit is going to supporting the artist because this is a luxury. We're going to go back around to this. And so you do also need to worry about, obviously, what you see from other people, but you need to take into account quality of things. So I currently have a printer. Talked about this a few times in this video. My printer can print on vinyl and laminate and a couple of other great things. And so because of that, I have weatherproof, waterproof, light vinyl. It's not UV proof. So because of that, and because I can print it at home and I can cut it on demand, I can make them much cheaper than if I have to bulk order it. Because if I have to bulk order it, usually the product I bulk order costs more to make, hence why it costs more. It's why you will see where you will see artists, where you'll see some artists be like, oh yeah, here's a sticker, unless it's for charity, because I did have my Stop AAP I Hate, which are still available in my shop, where half the profits always go to an organization, and the other half goes to shipping. And so with those are pretty big stickers that I had to get offset printed, and because it's charity, I do charge a bit more for those. But because of that, they are higher quality. They can go in a car. They can last longer than mine do. Not that mine are bad, but that's something you need to keep into account for it. So when you see some artists be like, oh, this person has a 3-inch sticker for $6, but this person has a 3-inch sticker for $3, you need to look into the quality and the difference in what it is. As well as if it's maybe a limited run thing or something else. And so the reason why I say this is because you do want to make some sort of profit. You never want to be in the red. And so with that, you always want to shoot for at least 3 times profit. You do want to shoot for more, but like let's say you have to do a sale or something, you still want to make some money back. So you're not just sitting here eating the cost of things. That's something I learned a lot when I was starting out. There was a lot of things I made mistakes in to where a lot of my profits ended up going back to supplies and other issues to where I really didn't see a lot of the money that I kind of wanted when things were starting. And so that's a bare bones minimum. You usually want to shoot for more for that, but if you shoot for at least 3 times and you get the 3 times, you are still succeeding. It might not be glorious, it might not be that much, but it's still a gain over a loss. And that's what's most important, and that's what you need to keep in mind. And so with that, I'm going to end this here. I hope this was helpful, and I can't wait to do more of this series. I'm also currently very much dying of heat, so I'm going to do this little spiel quickly. Please, thank you as always for watching. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and comment for the bot if you can't think of anything else to say. Oh god, it helps the algorithm so much, you guys. I've seen it. I've heard you guys talking about it. It works. Thank you so much. Thank you as always to my amazing Patreon patrons. I love you all so much. Patreon is such an amazing thing to help artists and creators out there. Every little bit helps. I love you all so much. And I will see you next time. Bye bye.